Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage that I've got left over from both the Python and the Strela. Double episode this week, as I was on holiday last week, of course. So we'll start off with the Python clips, and I'll take questions from the main Python video. Cyber Waste Video Labs says, second chance. That'll rustle some jimmies. You're not wrong. Yes, there were quite a few comments about second chance. But I figured, if you're using a pistol, and in the absence of another compelling third perk, then why not use second chance? It makes a lot of sense, really. I mean, come on. I know some of you guys use it, because given the prevalence of the perk out there in the wild, I know full well, despite sort of the general dislike of it, that some of you are using it. For what it's worth, I don't use it for the primary weapons, really. Although I will have to recommend it at least once. You do realise this. It'll probably be for the HS-10. So just so you're aware, it's probably going to come up as a recommendation, just for a laugh, mainly. Also contentious on the Python week was the opening pith and the ending pun. I referenced, or rather I should say misquoted, Dirty Harry for the opener. And yes, I'm fully aware that Dirty Harry didn't use a Python, he used a Smith & Wesson Model 29, and it's not a 357 Magnum, it's a 44 Magnum. The most powerful handgun in the world. Yes, I'm aware of all of this, but I thought, it's a nice little pop culture reference. It's not quite right, it doesn't quite match up, but the revolver in Black Ops is still kind of the power handgun. It kind of shares a similar badass kind of attitude. Then, of course, there is the final pun in which I made reference to fangs. And many of you were kind enough to point out that, of course, non-venomous snakes, like the Python, don't, in fact, have fangs. They have teeth, but the fang is the venom delivery system of the snake. But in my defense, you've got to think about this in a metaphorical sense. Really, when we're talking about the Python and its fangs, we're not really talking about fangs, we're talking about bullets. What was the line? Get close to constrict your enemy's chance of escape. You see, there's a reference to constriction, which is the means through which the Python suffocates its prey. And sink the Python's fangs into your prey. You see, here we've gone into metaphor territory, and we're talking about the bullets. It's all metaphor, really. That's what it's all about. I'm aware that the Python technically doesn't have fangs, but do you know what? It doesn't matter. It works for the pun. Okay, next up. LP Proto says, I believe on your Ahoy Xbox account you said that after the Python you were going to do the Strela. Why would you space out the videos a week apart? I don't really think the Strela video would be that long, but hell, you made a 6-minute Stinger video back in the days of Modern Warfare 2. Whatever, it's your decision when to put the videos out, and just the same, I'll be looking forward to your next video. Why the week spacing? Well, it's because I was on holiday, and the two secondary videos are a little bit shorter than the main primary videos, fewer attachments to cover, less stuff to talk about altogether, so I was able to do basically 2 videos in a single week, just about. There was maybe another day's worth of editing when I got back on holiday. So it worked out pretty nicely, and I was able to sort of keep it the weekly schedule without sort of taking too much strain. So, about my holiday. Well, I spent one. It was approximately 3 days in Brussels, although really we only had 2 days practically. We arrived on Monday, but our flight was delayed, so we got in about 10 o'clock. Then we had Tuesday, we had Wednesday, and then Thursday our flight was in the afternoon. So on Tuesday, we spent most of that. Our hotel was in Ixelles, so we spent most of the day sort of around there. Had a walk around, went to a cafe for lunch on Flagey. Went to a couple of bars, that sort of thing. Had my fair share of beer this holiday. And, of course, I wanted to try some of the authentic Belgian cuisine, so of course I had to get some frites. I went to a place called Friet called Bompa, which is just like, I can't remember where it was exactly. It was just east of Place Flagey. And I got myself a mitrailleuse, which is it's the French word for submachine gun. It's kind of a takeaway special. Basically, it's a baguette with the meat of your choice. I had frikandel, which is like a spiced sausage. And on top of that, they apply a generous dose of Belgian frites. So it's a very, 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 very good chips, in fact. Fantastic. The only downside to them is that they are cooked in beef fat, for which my vegetarian girlfriend did not approve for some reason. And then on top of that, you get the sauce of your choice. I played it safe. I went with the sort of traditional mayonnaise. I believe that's the kind of the the sort of the default choice in Belgium. But yes, it was very nice. It was exactly as you'd expect a baguette with meat and chips and mayonnaise would be. But no, the chips were very good. In fact, they reminded me of the chips in Scotland. The fish and chip shops in Scotland, again, they're quite traditional and they value beef dripping, which sort of gives them a similar taste to the Belgian frites. I think it's the fat that makes the difference when it comes to fries. Your bog standard vegetable oil just doesn't cut it when you compare it to a good, high quality, flavourful animal fat like beef. I think that's the reason McDonald's used to use beef fat. Of course, I mean, obviously with dietary concerns of vegetarians and of those people who don't eat beef, they have since changed to vegetable oil, but once upon a time they did use beef fat. Anyway, second day, on the Wednesday, we went on a beer tour of Brussels, you know, because that's pretty much why I was there. And definitely worthwhile getting some of the local knowledge on some of the bars, and we got to visit a brewery as well. We saw the Cantillon brewery. I think it's only one of two breweries in Brussels these days. Most of them are out in the country. But they're a manufacturer of lambics and gaze, which is kind of a spontaneously fermented style of beer. Pretty well regarded, and they do a lot in the export market. I think pretty popular in the American market. I think they said 70% of their output goes to the US. Anyway, it was basically we got a tour of the brewery, and we got taken to a couple of bars. We got taken to Delirium, which was pretty nice, but it is just really for the tourists, I think. And then we got taken to an actual decent beer lovers bar. It was Murder Lambic, the one on Place Fontaine. And that place was fantastic. It had 42 beers on tap. And, well, I didn't try all of them, unfortunately, but I did try quite a few of them, and they were all fantastic. And, well, that pretty much took up our entire second day on Wednesday. So that was our holiday. Only really 2 days worth, but we did have quite a few beers quaffed. And I did have some authentic Belgian cuisine, which was nice. So yes, Brussels, nice place. Maybe a little bit expensive, but then it's kind of a European centre, isn't it? I'd definitely go back anyway. Maybe not to Brussels. I'd maybe try visiting another city there. Maybe Antwerp or Ghent or Bruges. I'm not sure. But one day, yes, I shall return. But that's enough about Belgium. Let's answer some questions. Kraken8 says, "Hey Stu, if YouTube decided to strike and magically vanish from the internet, what would your job be? And why?" Well, if that were the case, I'd probably embrace my work with Activision more closely. See if there was anything in the way of full-time work along those lines. Other than that, I suppose if I was working here in Manchester, I could probably find some kind of work, doing web development or maybe something in marketing. I mean, with my web design skills and my ability to produce video content, I'd be a fairly good fit in a marketing agency. Although I've got to admit, the prospect of a 9-to-5 job does not fill me with joy. Next up, Marksman Gaming Video says, "Dear Stuart, do you ever block people? If yes, why?" I tend to have a fairly light touch on the block button. I don't like to do it as it's pretty final. Generally speaking, if somebody posts a stupid comment, it normally stands alone as a stupid comment, and the other people in the comment section will rip into them and let them have a piece of their mind. So it's normally fairly self-regulating. However, there are instances where people don't take the hint and they are incessant. If you're a troll once, you can get away with it. I don't care. You can post a stupid comment and whatever. But if you do it twice, then I'm going to start thinking, well, you're a bit of a person I'd like to block, really. And then if you do it 3 or more times, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be gone. I've blocked people who post the same comment multiple times, and I'm talking like 20 plus times. If I see that, like really? Really? I read all of the comments. Or at least, I'll read all of the comments about when I do these videos. I will pretty much read through everything. So if I don't pick your question, it's because I don't think it's that interesting of a question, I'm afraid. There's really no need to post it 20 times. Or it might be something that I've already answered before. It's nothing personal, really, it's not. Other than that, people who advertise, I will eventually block them, although I'm reluctant to do it because generally it's just somebody desperate for subscribers or attention. And, I can kind of sympathise with that. Although, really posting comments on videos. Hey, I'm a such and such a gaming channel with so many subscribers, and I'm looking to really just make videos, man. That's the way to do it. The Hosar asks, Stu, what's your favourite band? Have you heard of Guns N' Roses? Yes, I have heard of Guns N' Roses. Of course I have. As far as my favourite band's concerned, you probably get a different answer if you ask me this in a couple of years' time. But at the moment, I'm digging Metric. I saw them live recently. They released a new album. I've been listening to the Metric an awful lot. I actually got into them through a game. It was Test Drive Unlimited, the first one. And it was Handshakes, I think the song was. It was on the soundtrack. So it went from liking one of their songs to listening to the album to actually liking all of their songs. And then, you know, I think right now they're sort of definitely in the lead on my Last FM profile. What are my other top artists? Dare I read this? Sophie Ellis-Bextor is a number 2. I don't know how she got there. Goldfrapp, The Prodigy, Garbage, The Chemical Brothers, Cake, Marina and the Diamonds, Radioactive Man, The Crystal Method, New Young Pony Club, No Doubt, Telepop Music, Ladytron, Ladyhawk. That last one, Ladyhawk, I only like one of their songs. My Delirium, fantastic song. All of the rest of their songs, terrible. Sof1859 says, how can anybody get dogs when playing against Xbox Ahoy? Well, truth be told, my aims with the Strela were a little perverse. I kind of wanted the enemy to get kill streaks, which meant I kind of had to just, I don't know, I just sort of joined the lobby and then hung about for a little while the enemy sort of racked up their kill streaks, and then I'd just shoot it down. So, yeah, I wasn't really taking part of these games in a massive way. I got a few kills, but I tried to avoid sort of being on the forefront of the fight. And thankfully my teammates were generally idiotic enough to sort of allow them to rack up the occasional helicopter. Okay, Mr. NFL says, fun fact, did you know that you can lock on and shoot down Valkyrie rockets with a Strela? I did know this, yes. I think it was a Defend the House video, one of their Black Ops Mythbusters videos way back, that actually told me this. Which is great, it's great, but here's another fun fact for you. Nobody ever uses the Valkyrie missiles. I can't believe I actually saw someone use them. I thought, hang on, I could shoot that down. And then I tried to get to it and I just couldn't get an angle on it. But that's, you know, that's the way it goes. I didn't see any gunships either. I saw one set of dogs, and that was it. Most of the time it was spy plane. Just spy plane after spy plane after spy plane. Ugh. It was a boring set of games recording for this, let me tell you. Jordan Dean 5000 says, Stuart, what's your favourite root beer? Not a fan of mugs, I like A&W, but Barks has to be mine. I haven't tried mugs actually, but no, I lived on Barks when I was in LA. That stuff is pretty good, I like it. It's got kind of the sort of the bitterness that I like. I don't know, it's maybe not my favourite root beer that I've tried ever, but it's definitely my favourite sort of mass-produced one, the one, you know, that you'll get in every grocery store. I do want to do a Beverage Guide Express for that, so at some point you can expect to see it, yes. Thomas Jeffrey asks, thoughts on Olympics, Stuart? Well, like many of my fellow countrymen, I probably wasn't the most optimistic person before the Olympics started. There was a whole kerfuffle about, you know, security mix-up and the general expense of the games, and is it really worth it? And all these sort of concessions we have to make, you know, Olympic traffic lanes, all this sort of stuff. So there was kind of a negative vibe before it started. But amazingly, the opening ceremony actually really sort of, for me at least, turned round on the whole negative opinion front, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that the games have been thoroughly enjoyable. They've all gone very smoothly, and they've been enjoyable to watch on the TV. And it's of course it's always nice to see Great Britain do particularly well on the medals count. Coming third for such a small country is always nice to see. Of course, we've got the home advantage, but well, it was nice. It was enjoyable. I hope the rest of the world would agree. Dick O'George says, Stu, do you appreciate sausage? Frankfurter, Cumberland, Lincolnshire, plain old banger. Heck, even the sausage pretender, the manufactured hot dog. Tell me, Stu, tell me this instant, do you appreciate sausage as I do? Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do enjoy a sausage, yes. I'm a big fan of any sort of English sausage. Not a big fan of the black pudding, I've got to say. Blutwurst or black pudding, anything with blood in, I've got to say I'm not too keen on. But anything properly meaty, yes, absolutely, I do enjoy. Even some of the continental sausages. Maybe not all of them. Andouillette doesn't strike me as too appealing. Anything with tripe in, maybe not. But as far as, you know, your basic meaty sandwiches, salami, chorizo, kielbasa, anything along those lines, yeah, I can get behind that. Anyway, that's about all the footage I've got this week. And so, coming up this week, we have 2 beverage card expresses. I have, yeah, it's a gin and a tonic coming up next. Probably upload the gin on Friday and the tonic on Saturday. And then following that, on the Sunday, we've got the AK-47 Black Ops guide. And then hopefully we'll be back to normal with the bonus footage next Wednesday after that. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you join me on this channel later this week, and then on Xbox Ahoy on Sunday. So until then, farewell.